What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Country Bassin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful night. And I'm sorry, I know it's been a really long time since I've uploaded anything. I took my last final for my classes this morning. Been working a lot, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to try to pump out some how-to videos for you guys, because the fishing right now in Tennessee is terrible. So we're going to try to pump out some how-to videos. And today's how-to video, since I use it so much, is going to be a Texas rig. Just kind of how to rig it, and I might talk about how to fish it just a little bit. So, I got one of my rods here, and it actually already has a Texas rig on it, but I'm going to cut it off and tie a new one on and show you guys exactly what you need when rigging it, and a couple different ways to rig it. So let me get this rod untangled real fast, and then we'll get to it. Alright, so got my line. Make sure you have plenty of line out. So the main things you're going to need for a Texas rig, which there's 3 different ways you can rig it. So the main thing you're going to need, obviously, is a hook, which you can use any kind of hook that you want. I prefer to use EWG hooks. This is a 4-aught, I believe, 3 or 4-aught. And then you need a bullet weight. And personal preference is where this comes in. You can use bobber stoppers to peg your bullet weight so your bullet weight won't slide. Sometimes you want it to slide, sometimes you don't. So that's kind of a personal preference thing. So I'm going to show you the 2 different ways that I fish it, which I fish it all 3 ways. I use it weightless, which that means you just tie the hook on, and you don't need a bobber stopper or your bullet weight. You just tie the hook on and then Texas rig your bait, and then you get going. But how I normally fish it is you take these little bobber stoppers, and they have these little black things with the bobber stoppers, and they have a metal wire that goes through them, and then there's a loop on the other end. So what you do is you take your line and feed it through that little loop, probably an inch or so, and then you pull the bobber stopper up. It's going to pinch on the line, and once you pull the bobber stopper enough, it's going to come over the line, and now it's on the line. But it's going to leave a little crease in your line, so if you're using fluorocarbon or monofilament, make sure you cut that off, which in this case, since it's so close to the very end, it's going to get cut off when I tie my tag end, when I cut my tag end off. So you slide that up your line a ways. Next, you want to feed your bullet weight on there. So I believe this is a 3/16 ounce bullet weight. I think that's a pretty good all around size. And you feed the line in the small end first, and it'll come out the big end. And so there you go, there's your bullet weight on. Now your hook, you can tie any hook or any knot that you feel comfortable tying. Personally, I like the polymer knots. I have a video on that if you don't know how to tie a polymer knot. Especially if you're using heavy braid, you want to tie a polymer knot because it does not twist. So if you're using 40+ pound braid, I would recommend tying a polymer knot, and that video will be linked at the end of the that video will be at the very end of this video. So a polymer knot's pretty simple. I won't go into too depth how to do it. Basically, you feed it through, pull out some slack. Sorry. Then take your line and feed it back through the eye. So you have a loop on one side and your tag end and your main line on the other side. Then all you got to do from there is tie an overhand knot going over your tag end and your main line. pull that somewhat tight. Take your loop and run it over your hook. And then at this point you want to get your knot a little wet. You can dip it in the water, you can do what I did and use just some saliva. And all you gotta do is pull it tight from there. And that'll give you a pretty strong knot. And then what you want to do is cut your tag end off. You can use whatever you got, if you got some snips or whatever. You don't have to cut it off super close to the knot. And then all you gotta do is let your weight fall down onto the top of the hook. And then you pull your bobber stopper down all the way so that so now your weight won't slide up and down your line. And this is good for when you're flipping, probably cut any kind of cover like on the bank. I like to peg it, but if you are fishing deep brush, I would recommend not stopping it and letting the bobber or the bullet weight slide up and down your line. I've caught a pretty big, I caught a 5.11 pound bass off my kayak using a Texas rig without a bobber stopper. With the weight was free with a 10-inch worm. So this is one way to rig it. You can rig it without the bobber stopper, and so this is what it'll do. If you don't have the bobber stopper, your line or the weight will be able to move up and down the line freely. In some cases, it will give it a little bit more natural action. If you don't have as much cover, you can do it this way. And some people also put a little glass bead right here between the weight and the hook. Just kind of protects your knot a little bit more, and it makes a little bit more noise. It makes a little clacking noise, kind of like a Carolina rig. So, but that's the way I like to rig it. Just a nice little bullet weight and a bobber stopper, which all this stuff right here is pretty cheap. I mean, I bought a 25 pack of EWG hooks from Academy for like $5. Bought the bullet weights came in like a pack of 12 for like $1.30, and then the bobber stoppers I bought off Amazon. I bought, I don't know how many there were. There was a whole pack, probably about that big, for like $10. And so I'll be set for a very long time with the bobber stoppers. So, well, there you are, guys. I'll get you a close-up here in just a second, but that's pretty much it. That's all you got to do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Like the video if you guys want to see some more of these how-to videos. And if you haven't already, check out how to tie a polymer knot. Thanks, guys. Peace.